Thank you.
Well, first of all, thanks for being here,
Yeah.
and congratulations on the Emmy nomination. Well deserved.
Thank you. Very exciting.
I spoke with Desi the other day. I'm going to say the same thing to you as I said to her. Congratulations on a relatively slow and uneventful election news cycle.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it can get worse. I keep thinking, oh, that's it. That's the pinnacle. The debate, assassination attempt, changing the candidate, but it might keep going.
You hosted this past week, and
Yep.
you get to cover the announcement of Tim Walz. You got to
Yep.
cover the RFK Jr. Bear story
Yep.
and Trump's press conference. Not a bad
Yeah.
week,
No, and the Daily Show machine works whether there's news cycles or not.
right?
The Daily Show machine works whether there's good headlines or not. But this week, it really is fun when you got fun stuff to talk about. And there was fun stuff to talk about this week.
This isn't your first hosting gig. You've done a lot of
Right.
hosting in the past, but how does this differ from your previous hosting experience?
It's a good question. I mean, for one, I care the most about this in the sense that I grew up consuming and loving the Daily Show. It's just one of those American institutions that helped raise me along with my parents. But it's a great show that um, I'm so proud to be a part of. So I don't want to screw it up. I've had some shows on some other channels. And if you screw it up, it's like, well, I didn't really grow up watching E.
Right?
Uh, but also what can be hard and what's fun about the challenge of hosting daily shows is that these are important topics.
Right.
RFK Jr. dumping a bear cub, maybe not, but the who's going to be our vice president and might become this is important. So there are real stakes, and I want to be funny. That's my first goal, but I also want to take it seriously and understand the story and understand the ramifications for all involved.
Well, there was studies that came out. I mean, this is back when John was hosting the first time that a lot of people within a certain age bracket were getting their news from the Daily Show.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
is that something is that something that weighs on you at all?
Um, it doesn't weigh on me, but I'm certainly aware of it. But I think the reason people trust us for the news is because they know we're here to entertain them and they're going to learn some stuff along the way. Um, People are tuning in to laugh and to get a sane perspective on this insanity around us. We do not sit in the writer's room and go, now Americans need their news today. We go, what's the story? Oh, Trump just rambled for an hour and a half for no reason at all in front of Mar-a-Lago. Well, we have to share that with people, and
Right.
let's find the clip where he says he was more popular than MLK Jr.
Right. I feel there's a lot of like spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down when it comes to some of the news that you're covering.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And Jon Stewart is so good at calling out bullshit, whoever it is. And that also makes our viewers trust us.
Speaking of John, can you talk about the atmosphere at the show? From when you turned from after Noah left, I imagine
Mhm.
you were probably, and at least within the media, uncertainty as to the future of the show. Can you talk
Sure.
about how the atmosphere changed when John came back?
Yeah, I mean, Trevor left. Well, it goes back even before that. It goes back to show is doing great, Emmy nominations, Trevor as host, COVID. Um, Trevor and the show decide we're not going to take a break. We're going to keep going through COVID. And millions of Americans watched us during COVID as the Daily Show was shot on an iPhone 10
Right.
in Trevor's apartment.
Right. Trevor was,
Um,
yeah, you got really laid back. Trevor is what you got.
you got laid back Trevor, but you also got Trevor talking about George Floyd. I mean,
Right.
that's a
Mhm.
burden that he took on extremely well. I don't want to call it a burden, but he just a tough news cycle where the whole world was looking at Trevor and he's in his apartment.
Right.
having to share this. So it became a lot. And I think the daily rigmarole of putting out this show became a lot. I think it can erode you. I just did 4 days.
Right.
I'm tired. My throat is hoarse, So Jon Stewart did it for 16 years before Trevor did it for 7. I mean, it's really, those are feats.
Right.
There was uncertainty. We had rotating hosts, which was fun. But the writers do their best when they can sink their teeth in a point of view. And hey, Kosta's on this week. I know he likes this. This is a great joke he can do.
Right.
Desi likes, and so when we got John back, it steadied the ship. The Daily Show wasn't going anywhere. It's been on air for 29 years. It's a beast. Again, I've called it an American institution before. I'll call it again. But John was like, when the head coach walks in the locker room and the team is still a good football team, but they kind of settle down a little bit and they go, let's look at him for a second.
Right. You mentioned the writers. Now the writers, I mean, you consistently, you've got a solid writing staff you have for decades.
Yeah.
But you come from a stand-up background where you are writing for you're writing for yourself. How was it having the writing staff write for your voice? Was that something that came naturally? Was it something you had to work with them on? How did that work?
It's hard for me. It's hard for me. And I say for me, it's hard working together. It was an adjustment for me, a stand-up comic who writes everything he says, to now be in a room collaborating. And one of the things that I learned immediately was that these people in the room, you can trust them and they are funny. My skepticism was up. That's how you become a stand-up. You don't tell me what to think. I know what I'll think and I'll share it with you. So it is, I say stand-up comedy is my individual sport and the Daily Show is my team sport. And much like sport, and you're going to hear a lot of sport references from me, Jeff. I'm sorry. It is incredibly rewarding and more fun when you pull it off successfully at the Daily Show, because you're with people and you work together on that thing. And I did have to calm the ego down and say, hey, that guy has 5 Emmys. That woman has 6 Emmys for writing. Let them write for you and work with them. And here we are. And I'm thankful that I had the intelligence to slow down and back off a little bit.
What was your relationship to politics before the show? Because your stand-up is not politically driven at all.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Michigander, but grew up in Ann Arbor. So we had this progressive little pocket. My mom took me to go see Bill Clinton give a speech on the campaign trail when I was 10. But then you drive 20 minutes out and it was the Michigan militia and a much different vibe. So I grew up very center based. And this was the 80s. You just didn't really talk about politics.
Right.
People would come over for dinner. My parents would have dinner parties. I don't even think it just you didn't talk about it. So I registered to vote. I would vote as a family. We would go vote, but it wasn't it wasn't the environment that we're in today.
You are, in addition to the show, the Daily Show, you are still touring, and you're hosting your Tennis Anyone podcast.
That's right. Thank you, Jeff, for doing your research.
No problem. Your schedule sounds exhausting.
My schedule. Did my wife ask you to ask me this question? And I have 2 kids and a wonderful family. It is exhausting. But let me tell you, and I'm sure the others told you the same thing. In showbiz, for so many years, there's nothing. You're just sitting in LA, like, hey, that audition I did 4 months ago, are they ever going to call me back about that? Hey, that project that I pitched. So I love that there's stuff happening. I feel I feel privileged to get to share my point of view for anybody that'll listen. And if you want to talk Carlos Alcaraz and the Olympic men's tennis final, I'll do that. But if you want to talk politics, it's so fun that people are tuning in and listening to me. And I think what's cool about the Daily Show is a lot of the correspondents, not all, but a lot of the correspondents get there a little bit later in their career. And it helps us have, at least I did, it helps us have such an appreciation for the group of people you're working with, the consistent work daily.
Sure.
And I'm just thankful for that.
How has your writing process changed for stand-up? What is your process like? I mean, has it changed over the years?
I've had to be more efficient because I used to wake up at 10 a.m. Hey, I'm going to write today, go get a coffee, come back. It's 2 p.m. Friend wants to go hiking. Now it's 5 and done. I mean, now it's like I'm at the Daily Show early, wrapping up late. Oh, I have 20 minutes on the train. Let's sit down and come up with some ideas. In general, the way I write stand up is something is bothering me. Let's put pen to paper and try to deconstruct. And sometimes that can come off as, oh, he's bitching again. But also, that's kind of what stand ups do.
Right. Yeah. You recently did a piece on pickleball.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Which I enjoyed because now you and I
Good.
are close. You and I are close to the same age, and I don't know
Okay.
about you growing up, but when I was in high school, we played pickleball. This is back in the '90s. We played pickleball in high
And
school.
where'd you grow up?
Western New York, Buffalo, New York.
Okay. Okay.
But it's gained popularity now. Now, as a former
Yeah.
tennis pro, you're against it.
I'm against pickleball. I'm going on the record. I am against pickleball.
Why do you think it's gained popularity, and why are you so against it?
Well, what's funny is I think it was invented in the 70s. You
Yeah, it's been
know,
around for a while.
yeah, if you talk to people on the West Coast, that's why I asked you where you were from, because I think it was like Seattle, this group of guys started to play it. And it's just gained popularity. I 100% know why it's gained popularity, and I'm happy about it in general. Tennis needs a smack in the face. The barrier of entry for tennis is too hard. The scoring system sucks. The racket is $240. The ball is pressurized. So a young kid who hits it for the first time, it flies out of the
Right.
fence. Pickleball, here is this ping pong paddle that you have in your basement anyways. It's a wiffle ball. You can swing as hard as you want and you will be in play. You don't have to move that much. I mean, you get to the line at the kitchen, you don't even have to move. That's what I hate about pickleball. It's like, where's the movement? But it is a excuse me. It is a hobby
Activity.
where
Sure.
activity where you can, I mean, like darts, like horseshoes, you can immediately play. I have seen 4-year-olds bouncing the pickleball around, and that's good. And that's
Right.
good. And if you're living in a nursing home and you haven't been outside today and someone gives you a pickleball, go play pickleball. That's good. And let me go on the record again, Jeff. See, now you got me talking. Do not take away a tennis court for a pickleball court. That seems to be what's happening now.
Right.
And that's why I get frustrated.
Do you think it will benefit the tennis, or do you think people will?
Yeah,
Do you think it's like the gateway drug into tennis now?
yeah, I think if people put a racket sport in their hand, here I said sport again, it's good. It's good, you know. And I think the one to watch out for is padel, Padel. That is taking over Europe, and it's very much pickleballish without this kitchen. You run everywhere, 360 degrees. So that's what I think is next. I think pickleball is like in the 80s, we had those slap bracelets that everybody
Right.
had.
Yeah.
They were fun, and then it's over. That's what I think. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, and it's fun to be wrong about things like this that doesn't fucking matter.
Do you get to play tennis now with your
I play
schedule?
tennis a little bit. My back is pretty screwed up from years of playing collegiately. Playing tennis in New York City is like agreeing to get in a fight with a stranger over court time. When I lived in LA, we had a great group of men and women that had these courts around LA we would play on, and I loved it. It was my friend group. It was my exercise. New York City, there's only so much space. You go to the court, you sit there for 4 hours, and then maybe you get to play for 35
Right.
minutes.
Well, Michael, thank you very much for taking the time. And
Thank you.
congratulations again, and good luck.
Thanks for chatting. I appreciate the conversation, and we love that people pay attention to our show. So thank you.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye,
Bye.
Jeff. Thanks.
Thanks. Take care.